Welcome to 0 to 60.
I'm Matt McChesney. I'm the owner and operator of 60 Football Academy and 60 Equipment. Played at the University of Colorado from 2004. 6 years in the National Football League on both sides of football.
I'm Matt McChesney. This is 0 to 60. That is Coach Prime. We are at the University of Colorado. Brother, thank you so much.
All right. 0 to 60. We're rolling. Welcome to 0 to 60. It is Tuesday. On Tuesdays and Thursdays here on 0 to 60 on the Believe Network, all we're going to be doing is talking buffs, and that's all we're doing today. I'm your host, Matt McChesney. As always, my man Bailey is on the ones and twos. Did a great job yesterday. Make sure you go online on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok at 60 Academy, and check out all the vertical clips and all the cut-ups from the show. Bailey does a great job with that. We'll be back on Coach JB's show Mondays and Fridays. We'll be doing 0 to 60 Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, all buffs all day. Remember, Super Chats and subs are open here on YouTube and Twitch, so please contribute as much as you can. That's how we make money off of the show. So if you like the show, we'd love any contributions you can give. Everybody stay safe out there, and hopefully we can just bang out a 30-minute sports show today rather than talking about politics and craziness in the world. Let's pay some bills right off the bat here. Our show is brought to you by our good friends at Bet Online. They are your number one source for all of your sports betting needs here, especially during this lull between basketball, hockey, and football season going on. From baseball to golf to soccer right now to fights in the MMA and the UFC, and, of course, boxing. You've got every stat, every line, everything you want to be an educated bettor. They've got it Bet Online. When the game's over, you can go over to the casino and check out blackjack games, 150 different slot games. They've got pretty much everything there to suit your gambling needs. And look, if you go to the website today and you join up, use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, you get a 50% free bet credit for your first deposit up to $250. So that's a pretty good deal there. So Bet Online, the game starts here, and we roll here on 0 to 60 buffs on the Believe Network. My man Bailey on the ones and the twos. We got a lot to talk about here today, so let's roll.
Here we go, Matt. Tuesday, 0 to 60 buffs, first episode, all Colorado. Man, we got some interesting news from the weekend from yesterday. I think we should start with Paul Finebaum taking shots at Colorado football, at Deion, at Shedeur. He kind of comes at him here. Take a listen, and then we can react.
On that for a second. Anyone asking whether Deion Sanders and Colorado are close to the playoffs simply doesn't understand the reality of the road. They're not going to the playoffs this year, and I'm not sure Deion Sanders is ever going to get them to the playoffs because I don't think he has the patience to stay at Colorado long enough. There's so many misconceptions out there. Deion Sanders is the best salesman I've ever seen. I personally love the guy and for what he stands for. But the program looking out has a ridiculously inflated view of itself. I heard Shedeur Sanders, who's a fabulous quarterback, say last week, "We are everyone's Super Bowl." Shedeur, you are not. You are an easy win nowadays.
Number one, Finebaum is, obviously a respected journalist in this game, and he's very SEC biased, obviously. He's not wrong that we've been bad for a long time. That's true. But he is wrong, and he's looking at this team and the logo and seeing the past. Because like I said yesterday, I think this team is absolutely loaded, especially at the skill positions. The line's got a lot better. And when you have an elite quarterback and you put pieces around him, a year two is a huge jump for Coach Prime. So that's number two. I think they're going to be a really good team, and I do think they'll fight for a playoff spot, especially in a 12-team playoff. Right. So I think he's wrong on that. To say that they're irrelevant in college football is disrespectful as shit. Like, come on. Yes, the team has been down for 2 decades, but they're not irrelevant, and the history at that place is deep. And now Coach Prime is adding his magic into it. And to be honest with you, it seems it's very short-sighted what he's saying. He doesn't see culturally how it's affected. And, from a pop culture standpoint, just all over TV, all over social media, totally changing the way that, you look at development and recruitment and the transfer portal. Yeah, he's using the transfer portal to his advantage, bringing in players that he wants. I think that this is a short-sighted view by Finebaum. He's not taking into consideration, how few black coaches there have been at the college football level, at Division I level,
True.
And how much Deion is not only changing, the way things are done in Boulder, but he's changing the way things are done all over the country. People are trying to match the way he recruits, the way he develops, the way that they go after players, trying to figure out how he has such great camaraderie with guys and they don't, So I think Finebaum's, he's wrong. He's dead wrong. I mean, look, if you just look at records, he's got a point, but that's all he's doing. He's looking at like the entire, the entire focus here around the University of Colorado and Coach Prime and Shedeur and Travis Hunter. Like, I truly believe they're going to have 2 Heisman Trophy candidates next year. That's not irrelevant. So, the NCAA just came out last night, and I played it for hours last night. It was dope. It's a great game. I'm going to start live feeding and on Twitch and stuff and playing games and whatnot. But, when you're looking at that game, somebody seems to think they're going to be pretty good because they are like an 88 or an 89 on the game, and Shedeur's the best quarterback, and Travis Hunter's a dog, and it's just I'm looking at this and going, okay, everything I thought was going to happen kind of did. The ridiculous offseason is over, and that's for everyone. It's just everybody can focus on football now, thank God. And I truly believe that he's Coach or Finebaum and everybody else that's on this side of the fence is not taking into consideration the fact that this is the last time everybody's going to play together too. So from an emotional standpoint, I think that that's going to drive them as well. So I think he's wrong. To say that they're irrelevant in college football and there's no way they can make the playoff, that's just fuel. Like if I'm in Boulder right now, I'm playing it to the team first thing. It's the first thing I want everybody to hear and see because this is how they think about you. And, this is an opportunity to go out and tell Finebaum to stick it where the sun don't shine. So I know damn well that Coach Prime is going to hear this if he hasn't already, and he will use it to his advantage. This is major fuel for that fire right there.
Yeah, no doubt. And one thing he said, she's like, Shedeur, you're not everybody's Super Bowl. Colorado isn't everybody's Super Bowl. I tend to disagree with that statement. I think that no matter who wins the game, that game is going to have people watching. And to certain schools, that they'll face this season on their schedule, I think they'll have that game circled saying, hey, look, there's a lot of hype around Colorado, and these other teams will look at it and take it seriously. I don't think they're going to sit here and say, hey, they're 4-8 last year and they're just gonna look over. I think they're gonna do the opposite. I think if anything, they're gonna take them way more serious. And I think that Paul Finebaum is wrong about saying that.
Yeah, and look, that's the other thing is you're just sparking the fire under an elite quarterback. Right. And now he's got an offensive line in front of him that can actually do the job. So look, if this is the road that everybody wants to take and, they haven't done it yet until they prove it, I've been on that side of the fence a little bit to a point where, I need to see it now. They lost 6 games last year by 1 score. That flips this year. I think it flips because you're no longer just relying on the elite players on the field. Now they can rely on the other guys on the field instead of doing everything. So I think they'll improve by a yard a carry on the offensive line, which is going to be huge. That'll allow them to run the ball more, which will allow more open shots down the field to elite playmakers. It's still going to, like I said yesterday, the defensive line is going to be the key. If they can stop the run and they can control, some teams in that regard that are going to come in and try and limit possessions for CU by running the ball and keeping Shedeur and Travis and, Horn and all these freaks off the field. Okay, well, that sounds like that's the way you should beat them, but I think CU learned so much last year. Coach Prime learned a ton in his first year as a Power 5, Power 4, whatever you want to say, college head coach. Shedeur learned a ton as the first time as a starter at this level. Travis learned a ton. Everybody learned, and there's no losers in Boulder. but they are learning. And I say this all the time. If you're losing, there's nothing I can do for you. If you're a loser, you're going to look at the ground. But if you're learning when you lose, you are dangerous. You're dangerous because the next time you see it, you're going to beat it. So look, man, Finebaum, everybody talking all that junk, receipts, baby. Receipts. Keep them and log them and make sure that when it comes up, that, you know, everybody understands that we heard you. You know, look, I like Shedeur saying that we're everybody's Super Bowl. North Dakota State, they're going to want to shock the world. Nebraska, I mean, come on, dog. We talked about this yesterday. CSU, you know damn well that's their Super Bowl. They win that game. They could lose every other game the rest of the year. They beat CU at home on national TV after last year's unbelievable game in Boulder and overtime and all the drama. It's 100% their Super Bowl. Jay Norvell probably get a raise. So, and then everybody in the Big 12, they're at Baylor, everyone. Coach Prime, you know, he's a Cowboy. He ran Texas. He lives there. He going to UCF. He runs Florida. That's his state. So, like, everybody's got a reason to go after CU a little bit harder. Kansas State, revitalizing that rivalry. Kansas, revitalizing that rivalry. The hatred of Utah, like Oklahoma State, they're rivalous at the end of the season. So, and we didn't even talk about Texas Tech and some of the other schools. So, everybody's got a reason to go out and play just a little bit harder against the Buffs. So, again, Finebaum, wrong. Like, bro, it sounds like Paul doesn't know what he's talking about, which is what we get with a lot of Colorado fans. A lot of people who say they support. They look from the outside. They like what they see and they jump on the bandwagon, and then they're uneducated in their arguments. So, like, Finebaum, he sounds uneducated in his argument here, like he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's saying how special Shedeur is and how much he likes Prime, but they're not going to be able to get the job done and they're a fraud. And that come on, dog, which one is it?
Sorry, fucking muted. The one thing, yeah, I totally agree with you. He does. I think he has an SEC bias, honestly. I think that, especially with Pac-12,
he's an SEC show, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think he ain't gonna give Colorado the respect considering they came from the Pac-12. I think that's the biggest thing with Finebaum, and I think that kind of nulls his take in the way. It makes it not valid. One thing I wanted to ask before we kind of move on to some more Colorado news. Colorado's offensive coordinator, Pat Shermer, is a former Broncos offensive coordinator, I believe. Am I correct on that?
You are.
Yes, sir. And so I wanted to ask, with Shedeur Sanders coming in, and he could really have the potential to light it up this year and be a Heisman candidate. But I think, last year we saw some issues as OC and, back and forth and whatnot. But this year, Pat Shermer. How do you think he'll fare under Pat Shermer this year?
Well, look, Bronco fans are going to hear Pat Shermer and freak out because that's the same guy that said we're out here practicing incompletions. So if you're a Bronco and a Buff fan, you have a little bit of hesitancy about it, but it's different. It's a different game. It's different. So I really like Pat. I think he's going to do a good job having him there the whole offseason and the entire offseason, not being, hired in the middle of the offseason and having to build like they did last year with Lewis. He's been there all year last year. He took over the OC duties in the middle of the season. It was kind of tumultuous, but I felt like they got better as the year went on. They started running the ball more. They looked a little bit more cohesive. Defense started playing a little bit better, So I think that as long as they're supported a little bit, again, back to the defensive line, I think their offense is going to be outstanding. I don't think they're going to be stoppable, honestly. You have an elite quarterback. You got elite receivers. You have great backs. You have an offensive line that's just getting better and better and better and better and better, led by a guy in Phil Loadholtz that's a dog. So I think that the combination of a new offensive line coach and Loadholt, Pat out there doing his thing, I think he'll be a little bit more – he'll have better luck here because he's not dealing with Drew Lock, number one, or NFL defenses. Right. He's dealing with Shedeur Sanders, who's maybe the first pick in the draft, and it's a stud. Drew Lock is a guy, and he's dealing with college defenses. So I think it'll be easier on him, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're looking at him getting head coaching opportunities next year because of what he does this year with this group of elite athletes and showing, last year when they kind of hit some rocks offensively and couldn't score points in certain circumstances. Now he's changed that and they're on this upward trajectory. So,
man, yeah, and that's huge. I think Yeah, you mentioned they had a whole offseason to really develop, and like they brought in Lewis late last year, and so we'll see how Shedeur. I mean, Shedeur and Travis they're gonna ball. You know what I'm saying? It's just to the how well are they gonna perform, especially when they get into North Dakota State, Nebraska, but when you get into the Big 12 play at Kansas State, Baylor, etc. We're really gonna see. But I think Shermer will definitely be an improvement for them, no doubt. One thing wanted to move on here. Former Florida Gator now, Cormani Mcclain. So let's start at the beginning. So rumors came out that Cormani Mcclain, was having some behavioral issues with Billy Napier in Florida, showing up late, as you can see here, saying he was showing up late from team workouts, etc. I read some more on this as well. But news has come out now that apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, that he's been kicked off the Florida football team. I don't know if this is true or not, but I wanted to ask you, was Coach Prime right about Cormani Mcclain and letting him go?
Yep, he's right. I mean, and look, we said that this kid's a turd. I mean, how many times did you hear us say, like, this kid's got some big-time problems. He won't listen to anybody. He won't even listen to Coach Prime. If you won't listen to Coach Prime, I don't know who you're going to listen to. He's a corner. So this is another circumstance of a 5-star kid who's got the world by the balls, who's a mental cripple who can't get out of his own way. Mm-hmm. And that you got to be careful when you recruit kids, man. I mean, some of these 5-stars are just catered to, and some guy, gave him a 5-star ranking and everybody else ran with it. So again, a ranking is an opinion. It's not something that was earned. It's something that was given by a recruiting service, or at some points bought. There are some places, like, for example, who's the outstanding quarterback that's committed to SC that CU's courting real hard? Julian
Lewis, yes.
Yeah, Julian Lewis. When he was wearing the CU flag and it looks like he might flip to CU, they dropped him from a 5-star to a 4-star. Mm-hmm. So this is a game. And, Mcclain was a 5-star, highly recruited kid. They brought him in. He did not buy into what it means to play on the other side of Travis Hunter. This kid is so dumb that he could have been the other side of Travis Hunter. You know how many balls you're going to pick, tip, and play, and like how well you can go out there and adapt and take over the game because they're not going to throw at 12. Mm-hmm. Like 12 is lockdown. You could have been it could have been the best cornerback tandem in football, and now he gets to watch someone else be the best quarterback tandem in football with Travis Hunter. So it's too bad, but at the same time, it's a teaching moment for all the kids out there and all the parents. You're not as good as you think you are. You're damn sure not as bad as you think you are, but you're damn sure not as good as you think you are. So, it's all about work and follow through, and it's not about, stars and how I want to go to a real program that doesn't just do things for clicks. Well, you're getting clicked again, dummy, because you can't get out of bed. So, obviously this guy is more interested in parties and weed and pussy and everything else that comes with it. But if you want to do all that, then you got to be a baller. That's the way it works. So too bad, Mcclain. Maybe you should have gone to class, Demi.
Yeah. And last thing on that topic I wanted to ask you is someone who's in recruiting, you're well known in that. I wanted to ask with stars, the star rating, a 5-star rating, 4-star rating, 3-star rating. Does that mask like a deeper issue in terms of behavior or off the field things? Because I know for me personally, I played with multiple or with multiple 5-star kids. I mean, there's a kid that I played against, Savell Smalls, that's on Colorado, I believe, still to this day. He's a Watch Seattle kid. But anyway, I wanted to ask you, as someone who's in recruiting, are stars blinding? Do stars kind of mislead someone as a recruiter?
Absolutely. Yeah, and stars make coaches miss people too. Mm-hmm. Cooper Kupp, 0 stars.
Facts. That's where I play.
So like there's a lot of dudes that are just totally overlooked because they don't go to the right rivals camp or they don't know the right people. So, and there's a lot of spite and like negativity in the business too. So it's like handshake deals and I'll rank your kids. Don't worry. And look, there's a lot of kids that are just dogs that their stars are 100% a true evaluation of who they are. And there's a lot of kids where the stars are a 100% fabrication of who they are. So as a coach, you really have to identify. It's one of the reasons why I love Coach Bill Beatonbaugh at Oklahoma as much as I do. Like I'm going to send you this, Bailey, but I'm going to send it to you right now. Maybe you can get it up on the board. But
yeah, definitely.
my boy Josh Bates, who's the starting center out at Oklahoma, I played with his dad. He's proud Dungeon family. I just sent him a body bag. He literally just got it and unpacked it, and it's in front of his locker right now. So maybe we can get that up. But yeah. Bill Beatonbaugh recruits the shit out of offensive linemen, yes, but he never does it off of a board or someone else's opinion. Mm-hmm. You know, they went after Josh really hard. He's from a really small school, Durango. You know, mm-hmm. He doesn't play against Division I players, but he saw something in him, and now he's the starting center at Oklahoma. You know, he went after Deacon Schmidt, who's at Windsor High School up in northern Colorado, where like my old stomping ground, small school, not playing a lot of Division I defensive linemen, if any, other than at the gym. Right. He's offered it. He offered Deacon, loved his feet, loves his tenacity, gets after it. Well, then Brack played at Valor and also at IMG, the biggest two places, football factories. They also offered him. So it's all, look, that's one of the reasons, too, back to CU, I have so much faith in the Colorado offensive line this year because Phil Lodeholt's a Bill Beatonbaugh guy. He played for him. He was recruited by him. He learned everything he could from him, and he's been underneath him over at Oklahoma for the last 2 or 3 years learning. So I think that the stars thing is a way to get yourself fired from a recruiting standpoint, if that's all you rely on. When it comes down to it, it's your instincts as a coach. It's what you've experienced. It's what you know. And then saying, that kid's feet are too slow. His arms aren't long enough. Regardless of how big his heart is, he can't block the guys because he's too small, or he's too big to play any position other than left tackle. Like, right. He's 6'9". He can only play left tackle. I don't know if I can take him because I need somebody that can swing between both guards and play right tackle. So it's about need and then development and so much more. And it's not just offensive linemen, of course, but you want to go somewhere as a player where you can maximize all that. But at the same time, if your head's not connected to your heart and your heart's not connected to your balls, then you're in trouble as a player because all three of those things have to be linked up in order for you to be a hell of a football player. And that's just a fact. You got to be smart, you got to care, and you got to be fucking tough as shit. And that's balls, heart, and brains.
Facts, no doubt. I 100% agree with you, man. Man, let's look forward before we close out here. This first episode of 0 to 60 Buffs on 0 to 60. I wanted to take a look forward to Colorado's Week 1 matchup of North Dakota, and I wanted to ask you, Matt, just what are the keys to victory for Colorado in Week 1? North Dakota State, obviously FCS powerhouse. They're going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be good in the trenches. But I wanted to ask you, what do you believe Colorado's biggest keys to victory are in Week 1?
Being able to play their double counter. So they line up and they run the quarterback. So they're 11-on-11 football. Mm-hmm. And being able at the 3 technique position, and this is something, I was not a great player by any means, but I could play a double team like a motherfucker. And I knew exactly how to play it correctly and bang the postman so you can get them off and make a play. The 3 technique, 5 techniques in these games, the new defensive lineman, Coach Sapp, Coach Lewis, it is 100% on them. The linebackers have got to be downhill in a hurry. The secondary's got to play GTFB. GTFB means get the fuck back. All right, that means we're not going to get beat over the top. So I think it's all on the defense. The offense is going to do their thing. North Dakota State, God bless them, for as good as they are, I don't think they're going to have the horses to run with our skill guys, especially our receivers. So if we can protect, which we better be able to against North Dakota State, Shedeur should be able to slice. So, like I just said earlier, the way you beat Colorado, if you're a North Dakota State, if you're a Baylor, and you're not as good on paper, is to limit possessions and run the football. North Dakota State is the king of smash mouth, so they're going to line up and they're going to say, okay, multiple tight ends, a fullback. We're going to double team. We're going to tray block, deuce block, pull both the center and the tight end, or the guard and the tight end, and the tackle's going to hinge block, and we're going to run bash, counter. And we're going to be super aggressive at the point of attack. And the 3 technique in these games, or the 4-eye, depending on what you're doing, you've got to be the baddest motherfucker on the field. Coach Sapp has said it multiple times, like, I need you to be the baddest man on the field when the lights come on. That's the only way you can play this position and be any good at it. So I think that's the huge key here with North Dakota State is, number 1, not overlooking them, because they will beat you if you overlook them. And number 2, understanding that if they get down, they're in trouble. But if they can play even or try like run the ball and control time of possession, have Shedeur and Travis, or not Travis obviously because he's 2-way, but Shedeur and Horn and all these dudes sitting on the sideline going like, fuck, man, are we ever going to get the ball today? That's the only way that they can make this happen. They don't have the horses to run with CU otherwise. So Colorado's just got to go out on defense, read their key, play violent. Your hands are weapons, and make sure that you understand the relationship on your double teams. You know how to shed, you play hard, and then rotate. Get more guys in. If they're going to come out and try and smash mouth, let them know what it's like at Folsom at that altitude with that thin air, and go out there and just beat the shit out of these people. And don't give them a chance. You give these guys a chance, and they will take it.
Yeah, no doubt. And like you just mentioned, North Dakota, obviously very stout in the trenches. I mean, look, with Colorado, I wanted to ask you, and based on a lot of outside criticism, is Colorado going to be able to hold up in the trenches? They're going to be able to run the ball in North Dakota State or no?
Yes, they'll be able to run the ball. And look, I truly believe this. I'm not just saying it Homer style. Mm-hmm. They are going to improve by a yard a carry. Now, look, you can look this up on your computer right in front of you, I'm sure, but what was their yards per carry last year? I'm guessing it's around 3.1 yards a carry. It might be under 3 yards a carry, which is going to make my heart drop out of my fucking chest. So if they can improve to 4 yards a carry, 3.8, 4 yards a carry, and then maybe run the ball 5 to 10 more times because they can, what is it?
Colorado Buffalo's football team averaged 2.31 yards per carry.
Okay. So we're going to need to improve that by 1.5 yards a carry. Holy shit. 2.3 yards a carry. That's goddamn. That's fucking incredibly terrible. But I think that the heads they have now and the scheme they're using, the tight ends scare me a little bit because I don't know much about them. The Sam Hart kid is from Cherokee Trail here in Denver. He's a hell of a player. We'll see how he does. Really good on the video game. That motherfucker was slicing people up last night. Nobody could cover him. Good job, Sam. But like the ability to just vertically run the football is what I want. The zone reads slow action in the backfield. I'm hoping that it's sped up or they can get more vertical and downhill. And if they do that, they'll be able to match North Dakota's physicality. But again, CU is about Shedeur. Shedeur is the best quarterback in college football. You don't just run the ball just because. You run to support. He always talks about Tom Brady. Tom Brady, every time he was excellent, which is every time, he had a great running game. The year that he led the league in passing, his last year in the league, his running game was dog shit, and they barely made the playoffs. They had a losing record because he had to do everything. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily want Shedeur to do everything, but he's got to be supported. So I hope that they can support him in the way that they need to make this work. So, hey, before we get off here, you got to tell me how to set this up on Twitch, the NCAA. Yeah. And then I can go on Twitch and play people, and like people can watch and shit, right?
Oh yeah, we can take it, put it on 0 to 60 and stuff. Oh yeah,
we're doing that shit. That game is so fucking dope, bro. Go out and get it if you haven't gotten it. I was playing Bree last night. We were playing it. It's dope. And also, if your girl doesn't play video games and hang out, that sucks for you. I can't wait for all that. Great show, brother. And we're off tomorrow. We're back Thursday.
Yeah, thank you all for watching. Great first show of 0 to 60. We'll be back on Thursday with more Colorado Buffaloes football news coverage and breakdowns. Thank you all for watching. See you guys on Thursday. Peace.